go get my horse. Hey, boys. Ready? Step out. Alright, I'm about to brush my horse Demon here. I'm going to start off by using a metal curry comb over his body to try to get all the clumps of dirt and mud out. And with this brush, you kind of got to be careful because it's sharper, and if you use it on sensitive parts of their body, they're probably going to feel it more so than, say, a dandy brush or something. And I like to make sure to get really well where the girth is going to go so it doesn't irritate them when I'm riding. Now that that's done, I'm going to go over with a rubber curry comb and try to get all the loose hairs and dirt out from underneath their hair. And the main point of grooming your horse is to kind of just make sure they're in good condition as far as being clean, and then it gives you the time to kind of look over their body to make sure they don't have any injuries or kind of anything that's bothering them. And it's just good to keep them clean before you're riding, especially. And now that that's all done, I'm going to take a dandy brush and I'm going to brush them all over to get all the loose hairs off of them. And this is especially a good time to go over their legs with this type of brush. And you just want to make sure that you talk to them so they always know where you are, so you don't get kicked. Good boy. It's really important to make sure that you go over where you're going to be riding in the saddle area, because I know from experience that if they have something that's irritating them under their saddle pads, they're not going to ride well for you. And I usually like to groom one side at a time, and as you know, you always start on the left side of a horse. So I'm going to do this to his other side as well after I finish up this leg. And while I'm up here, I'll go through his mane, even though my horse has a short mane, just to make sure there's anything crazy in there, like burrs or birds. Good. And then it's a good idea to go through their tail as well, just to make sure there isn't anything in there that's going to bug them or anything dirty. It could cause infections, especially if you have a mare. And as long as that's good, I usually pick out his hooves last. And I usually actually rotate around him doing his hooves the way my farrier does, which starts on this front foot, the other front, the back side, and then this back side. So I'll do that. Good boy. And then when I do this, I'm just real gentle around his frog area, get out all the nasty stuff, and especially look for rocks or anything that's going to get in the way and be painful to him when you're riding, or just when he's out in the pasture. I'm going to do this for all four. Good boy. I like to talk to him, know that he's doing a good job, because he's usually really good for me. Now I'm going to tack up my horse. I'm going to start with putting on the saddle blanket first. And before I do that, I usually like to check to make sure there isn't anything like pieces of hay or big patches of fur that are sticking out that's going to bother him. And so when I do that, I like to put it on past his withers pretty far where it shouldn't be, and then just slide it back down so it's going with his hair, so it doesn't cause anything to bother him. And then I like to go behind him as well and make sure that it's even on both sides. And I talk to him. Good boy. And it does have a tendency to move around a little, but we can fix that later. And now I'm going to put on a saddle. And when I do that, I like to put everything up on this side so it doesn't hit him when I throw it up there. Being a Western saddle, it's pretty heavy, so then I just kind of slowly ease it up there and sink it into place. Then I come around on this side and just bring it down for him, make sure everything's the way it should be, which it appears to be. Good boy. And then I'll start on this side, cinch it up. And I usually put my stirrup and fender out of the way. Hopefully it won't come back down in my face, but easy boy. And if it appears to be a little big, which right now it does, I'm going to go back to the other side and adjust it really quick. Should be better. Good boy. Now that it's where it should be, I'm gonna loop it up for him. I like to go through twice when I do this, and I leave it fairly loose until I'm really ready to ride, then I'll tighten it up the most. Take my gloves off for this part. I'm gonna go through these keepers right here, tighten it up a bit, but not too tight since it's a little difficult to come back through the other side if you do that. Through there, and then down through the middle. I'll go ahead and tighten it up first. I like to get it fairly tight so you know you're not going anywhere, but not anything that's going to be too uncomfortable for him. Down through the middle, keep tight. And then I bring my stirrups back down. And instead of just letting this flap around, I like to put it up here in this leather keeper, so it's out of the way. Then we can move on to the bridle. All right, and now I'm going to take one leader rope off of him and take his halter almost off. I like to ride without a halter personally. And then I hook it back on loosely. Good boy. So I know he's not going to go anywhere. And I also like to drape the reins around his neck first, so they're good and out of my way. And then sometimes if you have a problem horse, which he usually doesn't like to open up his mouth too much for a cold bit, I kind of slide my finger in the side of his mouth to encourage him to open, which I'm going to do right here. Attaboy. Good boy. And just make sure that you put it in carefully, especially if you have a bigger bit like I use. Good boy. I know. And then I like to make sure his hair is not all twisted and tangled, because I know I wouldn't like that. And then make sure your throat latch isn't twisted. Bring it up, and I like to have a good couple of fingers under here. That way it's not too tight. And you're all set to ride afterwards. Okay, I ride my horse Steven here. I'm going to show you guys a walk, a trot, a rising trot, and a canter, and then a little bit of pivoting and backing out and turning. So here we go. It's gonna eat you. Woo! Got it! You can keep that up there. It's spicy.